Especially on social media, the zero waste movement can seem expensive or even elitist. I've certainly seen plenty of pricey and trendy looking products that market as zero waste. But minimizing your waste shouldn't break the bank, and it can even be cheaper in the long run. Although I encourage buying more sustainable products that you need, a big part of sustainability, at least for me, is participating as little as possible in an economy that promotes mass production and consumption driven by profit, a system that got us into this mess in the first place.
I don't make a giant income, and neither does my husband, but I have actually found that becoming more eco-friendly is more financially accessible than I thought.
I do definitely hear, the expense of it, and I get it myself. A lot of times, when I first moved to the Cape, I was struggling with even trying to find a full-time job. So from there, trying to be able to afford things that I want to be able to continue with my lifestyle was very, very difficult, in some ways. So yes, a lot of times there are some products that are more expensive than others, especially when you're going organic. But there are certain things that you can get that are cheaper, or about the same price if you look at the packaging compared to the unpackaged.
I am on a budget. I'm on a very tight budget. So I have 2 kids, and being on the Cape and it being seasonal, I understand the struggle of surviving here. So when I did my pricing, I really kept that in mind, especially with the refill. However, I'm not selling Suave. The quality of the product is really where you're gonna find that price difference.
But the idea of price isn't so black and white. Cheaper items often come out of unethical and unsustainable manufacturing practices, and cheaply made items tend to deteriorate quickly, creating waste and forcing you to purchase more.
We think about prices, we don't necessarily think about the social justice and environmental justice implications of those prices. We have gotten into this mentality that we have to have the latest, greatest, and that's caused prices to be really cheap. So we keep on having the latest and greatest, or having to be fashionable in so many different realms, that we have excess of everything. And that excess is really one area that we could curtail, whether it be food, clothing, electronic goods, anything. We could start to think about what is it that we need as opposed to what we want.
It's very hard to let go of something that's convenient. If we're able to just kind of, go out there and buy something very quickly, it's very hard to try and think, okay, now I have to really think about being mindfully purchasing things.
Minimalism is a part of sustainability that can still be inexpensive. Instead of purchasing lots of cheap items that are low in quality, a sustainable lifestyle promotes choosing items that you really need and that are sustainably sourced, ethically made, and won't end up in a landfill in a couple of months. If you have the ability to spend more on a product that aligns with your values and will last, it's almost always worth it.
The one thing about growing older is that when you're young, you sort of want everything. And then as you get older, you realize you have to clean up your house and you have all these things in it. And you start to realize that minimalism is probably very appealing to you. I wish we could teach young people that early on, and also teach that to parents early on, that when we start to give everything on an individual basis, we create this bad habit that for the first 30 years of a person's life, they have to feel this obligation to continue to buy stuff.
If you have the financial freedom to spend a little bit more on sustainable and ethical products, I encourage you to do so when you really need those items. There are sustainable swaps for pretty much everything these days, like But you don't need to buy lots of things in order to be more sustainable. The best thing you can do is to use up what you already have. When you run out of something, you can try incorporating swaps that are inexpensive or free, like secondhand shopping, replacing single-use items with reusables, and upcycling. My favorite swap is using fabric scraps as handkerchiefs instead of tissues.
I stopped buying paper towels, and it has saved me a lot of money. And so what I do is I buy 50-cent dish towels at Goodwill, and I just reuse them, and I wash them at the end of the week, but I reuse them throughout the week. and that has it's saving the trees, it's producing less trash, and it's helping me to be more sustainable. It does take a lot of water to produce paper towels. They're expensive, they're also usually wrapped in plastic, and you use them one time and you toss them away. So it's essentially you're paying for a product that you're just throwing away, and that doesn't make any sense to me at all. I'm making my own cleaning products, which is just vinegar, water, and lemon. I installed a bidet on my toilet, which costs about $30, but it saves me on toilet paper. So I'm no longer spending that much money on toilet paper. And because I'm eating healthier and I'm making food in larger batches, I'm also saving money in that way. So although it can be intimidating, if you do your research, there's a lot of wonderful places on the internet that can teach you small little steps that are going to save you money in the long run. It is scary at first, but you will learn, you will save money. I've saved so much money lately.
Another great tip, even if you want or need something, you don't necessarily have to buy it in order to use it.
There's an interesting phenomenon that's going on outside the United States. It's actually Wellfleet Library is going to start working on it here, which is a library of things that you can go in and check things out and use, similar to the concept of a shared economy.
Many of the Cape libraries have these libraries of things, including the Brooks Free Library in Harwich and the Osterville Village Library. You can check out items like Wi-Fi hotspots, musical instruments, games, puzzles, and activity kits, and my favorite, a sewing machine.
I think that there's a tremendous opportunity right now for us to take more joy in our interpersonal relationships than wasting the time to make the money to buy things that we then have to maintain. In terms of advice to people, perhaps maybe think about what you buy before you buy it. Go to the store a few times, check it out on the catalog a couple of times. Maybe by the third time you look at it, it won't be that appealing. Sometimes things look prettier in the store than when you think about the longevity of having to maintain them in your home.
I really got into trying to be an environmentalist because I wanted to inspire others around me. So I tried to adapt my lifestyle in a way that was affordable and easy to some degree, in hopes that people would ask, oh, I see you're doing that. Why are you doing that? And how can I do it?
I think if it's something that's important to people, if they're interested in actually taking upon this lifestyle, it is sort of a matter of getting familiar with change, because it's a huge, huge change, and the brain just gets overwhelmed by some of these big things. So trying to embrace the change, but slowly, not getting so overwhelmed with the enormity of the problem, but trying to take it one step at a time every single day, little things, and that change can start to grow and grow and grow into a bigger concept.